What is up, guys? Another episode of the podcast, and today it is a very, very special one because here with us we have Suki, the man behind the #1 bodybuilding page. How are you, mate? And thank you very much for accepting the invite.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. Obviously, it was lovely meeting you at the Beyond Stage seminar we held the other week. It got me at a very tight point. Just got back from the gym and taking the dog for a walk. So my eyes are a bit puffy at the moment, but we're all good.
Yeah, there are many points I would like to cover, but before we get into the BTS, I want to start with Derby. What was that weekend like from your perspective, as of course, the man behind who put it on?
For the event, I thought the idea for this event was we saw so many NPC seminars in America, worldwide, a collection of IFBB pros. I've always wanted to try and do one here in the UK. So this was a year in the making. When I say year in the making, it was about working alongside the NPC, the Pro League. You can imagine trying to work on the diaries of Samson, Ryan, try and make sure that Niall, Jack, make sure all the diaries align to one single date. So the fact that we got this event to happen, we had 850 tickets booked, very busy, very happy. The social media numbers were excellent. We had 4.5 million views in 24 hours on the BTS channel, additional 5 million views from other media outlets reporting on the event, mainly because Samson Dowder was guest posing. So all in all, a huge success, something I definitely want to put on again in 2027. It's just all about how do I make it bigger and better for next year.
Yeah. Do you think UK bodybuilding is changing right now, and are the events like that are the future of what it will look like?
Difficult thing to say. Is it changing? I've noticed a couple of federations in the UK. They've made some changes in regards to who is running the federation. There's obviously some changes on the natural scene. I mean, bodybuilding in the UK is just absolutely massive when you look at the fact that there's about 14, 15 federations in the UK. And on any given weekend, you may have 5 or 6 shows. That's maybe a bit over top, but there was one point last year, I believe, there was about 8 shows on one weekend in the UK. So the UK scene is definitely growing, as always, especially with the fact that the UK has 3 Olympia champions. Last year, we also had Ryan and Samson as your Olympia champions. This year, we got one better with Shelley, Rhea, and Ryan. So whenever you have that many Olympia champions from one country, that's going to bring more eyeballs to the country. And UK is now in line with Brazil and the US for last year's Olympia. All 3 countries had 3 Olympia champions. And when you think about how small the UK is compared to an 80 million population of Brazil, a 250 million population or more than that in the US, it clearly shows that the UK is growing. There is an abundant interest in bodybuilding, and long may it continue, because hopefully this year we may get 4 Olympia champions.
Yeah. I was just going to say, what did you think about Nas and all the other guest posers?
I thought it was phenomenal. I thought Niall is absolutely phenomenal. He is incredible to see in person. This guy is potentially the future of the division. And when I say that, we got to look at the fact that Mike Sommerfeld is on the cap for his weight limit. So is Ramon Dino. Hosema is currently at 15, 18 kilos above his stage weight at the moment. How long can he last to keep hitting his weight before it impacts his physique? So you would imagine that Niall has the highest ceiling to continue the progress and take the title. Do I see it happening in 2026? Probably not. 2027, definitely, with another year behind him. But if he takes that win in Pittsburgh, New York, which I imagine he will, he's in that conversation. Then you look at people like Jack Eagles, which all of a sudden, when he stepped on stage doing the guest posing with the rest of the guys, there's a lot of people on social media very, very impressed with Jack. I mean, the guy's, still 23. Now Kyle behind him, heading towards FIBO, New York, Pittsburgh. He is confident that he can make the Olympia stage as well this year. It'd be fantastic to see Jack there in Vegas. So On the classic stage, on the classic point of view, it's very exciting. We've also got Prosper from a natural side, who won the Benwida Pro Classic Physique title in 2025. So he's already Olympia qualified. So potentially, yeah, we could easily look at 3 or 4 guys from the UK on the Classic Physique stage at the Olympia. And then the rest, I mean, seeing Samson there, Yinka in the 212, doing the guest posing next to him. On the men's physique, Ryan, Emil, Adeyemi, who's been there 3 times. Look, across all the divisions, there is a great potential for the UK to even have a larger number that we had last year at Olympia. There's no reason why the UK can't have 20 Olympia athletes this year.
Speaking of classic, there's a lot of debate and discussion going on about what the criteria actually are. What is your definition of classic?
My definition of classic, I mean, look, when I see physiques look, I mean, it's everyone's going to have their own. People will see Mike Sommerfeld and think, oh, that's a 212 physique. I mean, clearly that's not the case. If he's an Arnold champion, 2 times second place for Olympia, I personally prefer and I like the physiques of a Ramon Dino, a Niall Darwin, but I also see the perspective of like a Mike Sommerfeld because it is aesthetic. So is Hosemer as well. It's all about how they pose within the physique they have and how they present their physiques. Look at their physiques just standing there. You may think, oh, someone is a 212 or open bodybuilder, but it's about how they present their physiques when we're doing the posing. And nobody can say that when Mike doesn't present physique, that it doesn't look classic, it doesn't look aesthetic. He's one of the best in the game when it comes to on-stage presentation. So I think classic is exactly where it needs to be. And you want to have different heights and shapes. Terence being a smaller one, Mike being a bit more dense. And then you've got the taller guys like Ramon, like Niall. And then you have the extreme condition of Hosemer. And even people like, Justin Baderina, Menegate, Michael De Bull. Everyone's got their own USPs, their own uniqueness to the physique. And that's why that division is so competitive. And it'll continue to be competitive. Let's not forget, there's only 1 point difference between Mike and Dino at the Olympia. And that was with Mike. Try and drop, was it 14 pounds within 48 hours to make weight? So we'll start with Arnold. I'm looking forward to see how that plays out and whether Mike takes the title, whether someone like a Wesley, a Kim, Menegate, Gabriel, well, those guys can pip him.
Do you think it's more exciting because of the small differences? Like, I know some people are from the bikini. I know this is Fouad's favorite category because there are so many like minor details that play the role into who's actually taking the win. So do you think it's the same case with classic? Because some guys have crazy shape, some are peeled to the bone like Josema. What do you think is, how do you balance between the classic shape, conditioning?
When we're talking about like the top 10 in any Olympia division, any division of Olympia, you're talking about the smallest amount of detail. Like nobody's going to come off not condition unless there's a freak accident in their prep. Like when you look at the amateur scene, it's a bit different, or maybe a pro show. But when you're looking at like the highest level, the 0.1% of bodybuilders, whether it's classic men's physique or bikini or open, you're looking at like this, well, maybe it's not so much open, but all the other divisions, classic, bikini, men's physique, wellness, you're looking at like the smallest bit of detail that could pip someone from going from second to first or fourth to third. So I think to answer your question, it's so close, and for a lot of this, it is subjective. But if we look at classic physique, when you look at like that top 6 or top 7, top 8, they all come in condition. They all know how to present the physique at the highest level. And then you just look at differences in regards to shape. But then once again, how they present their physiques all of a sudden makes a larger impact. Like a Mike. Mike walks around, you may think he's 212, but the moment he steps on stage and starts posing, he's classic physique all day long. You can't even make argument of it because of how he presents his physique. So it's just so close, especially the classic division. The classic division, you would argue, is the closest division when you look at first going all the way to potentially 8th.
Yeah, I think people don't realize that top 10 guy is like they are crazy elite level. This isn't like, oh, he's only like 13th in the world. Like, come on, this is like he's 13th in the like probably most competitive division there out there is. So this is like really exciting. But I want to touch up on some other things because obviously you covered the news with Fouad, and I think many people want to actually know the man behind the BTS because obviously we can cover the news. But I have some questions for you to start with. What is your bodybuilding background? Because I did some research. I found some actually YouTube videos from like 13 years ago. So we are obviously
long time ago.
like an OG, long in the game. How did it start for you?
Yeah, look, I remember 2012 was the first time I went to a bodybuilding expo called Body Power in the UK. That's when I met like Greg Plitt, Steve Cook, Rob Richards, OG names back in the day. I then represented the UK in this competition called Mr. International in Thailand. That's where I met Ryan Terry. We were there for 2 weeks together and became very close mates since then. Started competing in the UK BFF Federation, which originally had the pro cards back in 2013, 2016. So we did men's physique in that period. Came second like 4 times, never got a win. And that was very much my period. I was lucky enough to be sponsored by Muscle Tech and then sponsored by USN, which that was USN back in the heyday when they were like the biggest brand in the UK. You go to any expo, they had a massive booth, and I was with Ryan, Max O'Connor, Rich Kozaki. If anyone follows natural bodybuilding, they'll know who Rich is. Dave Titterton. So yeah, 2013, 2016 is when I competed. I then packed it in. 2017, I started to organize my own bodybuilding shows, just as a side project, something I enjoyed doing, like events. So I did that from 2017 till September 2024. So I did that for an eight year period. Like I said, that was always just a side thing. Just kept me involved in the bodybuilding industry. I was very, very successful. We did a lot of stuff with another American organization back then. And then I would say, 2023 was when I really started to fall out of love in organizing these events. It's very, very tough to put on a bodybuilding show, especially when you're competing with other bigger organizations like the NPC. Obviously, there's PCA here in the UK as well. Everybody's trying to get competitors, and you got to cover the costs of the venue, travel expenses for judges, lighting, trophies, medals, all that. So 2023, I started thinking like, oh, what can I do next? And October 2024 is when I stopped doing it. I made the change. I changed the page over to Beyond the Stage TV just in time for the Olympia 2024, which fortunate for me was Chris Bumstead's last Olympia. And since then, it's now been, what's it been, 15 months since doing Beyond the Stage. And it's definitely something that now I'm very excited, interested, passionate about to see how big this can grow.
Yeah, at this point, I think BTS isn't even a page; it's a platform. It's kind of like a documentary lens through modern bodybuilding. So you've done a crazy job. What gap did you see? What gap did you see that made you want to start that page?
So, like, look, no offense to some of the other bodybuilding pages, but a lot of them I found was, somebody like a Chris Bumstead may post a picture, and then that picture would then just be reposted on all these other platforms. So I always felt there was something missing, like the Sky Sports or the ESPN of bodybuilding, where you're creating the storylines, the hype leading towards shows. Yeah, you got all these guys who are posting on YouTube, and you can take a little clip to pop on the page to add substance to them. I just felt that there wasn't something that covered all the divisions, and there wasn't anything that really created excitement, that created conversational piece or debates. Obviously, debates on a positive aspect. So that's where I saw the opportunity. I did make a mistake right at the start, which lasted about maybe 5 months. And that's when I was just reporting on all the UK federations. And I remember I got a call from a very well-known IFBB Pro who was at the Pittsburgh Pro in 2025. And he called me up saying that, look, there is an issue that people will be saying from the Pro League that you can't just cover all federations. If you want to do the NPC IFBB, you should just focus on that. And I realized, I was like, I'm making a mistake. I should just be focusing on the NPC and the IFBB scene, because that is where all the excitement is. That's where all, not just the views, but also it's huge. Every country has the NPC part of it, and the UK is absolutely huge for it. So that's when I made a change, I think in May, where I started to focus purely on the NPC and IFBB. I'm really happy I made that decision, because obviously I opened a lot of doors myself, and because I cover all the divisions, I'd be able to build and create a lot of good relationships with people from either brands, promoters, athletes. I feel now 15 months is starting, and maybe even not 8-10 months since transitioning to focus just purely on NPC IFBB news, that the platform is now established as a go-to platform that people want to go to get the news, to get the updates. So yeah, there's a lot of things lined up for 2026 to make it bigger, and that's my sole goal for this 2026, is to make it even bigger. I've got big plans, big goals that I want to achieve by the end of 2026. I know exactly where I want the platform to be, and just like how I started in 2025, where I had a goal in mind, I just went all out to make sure it happens. Same thing happening this year.
And it's awesome to see. I think the uniqueness of that style, that you added your own narration to the post. It's not like, oh, I'll just repost what his physique look like. You actually added some comments and build excitement. That's what made it resonate with people. Was there a moment you were like, oh, this thing is actually taking off?
Oh God, a moment. I think probably maybe September 2025, which would have been 11 months since I started. So we're 1 month away from the 1 year anniversary of Beyond Stage. I remember September is also a lot of things were happening. Gymshark got in contact about going to their lifting event in UK. The Olympia Media Pass came through. The relationship with the Pro League got a lot stronger, where they started giving me media passes to the shows. So that's why I went to the Europa Pro in Germany, the Dennis James show, where Urs won his second open title. September was a big moment where all of a sudden I started to see not only doors, opportunities coming up, but also the views were going right up, because I think really at the end of 2025, the platform got over 500 million views. We're averaging, Olympia weekend was 120 million. So September was really a big one where more doors were opening, and I would say yes to every single opportunity, because I knew that I just wanted to try and build as many relationships as possible. And I'm thankful I did that, because in the biggest difficulty doing a bodybuilding platform that's based in the UK or based in Europe is the time zone. The time zone is a killer, because everyone should know the big news normally drops in America, and then you're looking at a 6-8 hour time difference. So what might be midnight here in the UK is only 4 p.m. in Pacific time. So maybe there's some big announcements being made by Olympia, because obviously they're basically, or any athletes in Pacific, but they're dropping updates in the evening. So I had to really kind of just change the way I operated to make sure I didn't miss any of these announcements. I did that. I started doing that more in September, so I could start seeing somebody like Nick Walker drop a big update at midnight. I'm there, like, thank God. But if I fell asleep at 10 a.m. and he dropped this big update, I wouldn't have seen it till 7 a.m. the next day. And by then, all the US media outlets, RX Muscle, By the Tribes, By Without Borders, would have all reposted it. I would have missed it. And if you're not first, you're joint last. And that's another thing for myself in September. It was always been about, and still now, it's always aim trying to be first with the content.
How do you manage it? Do you just basically adjusted the schedule to live like a US time zone?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think for my stuff, I do have a day roll as well, so I've managed that with this. I structure it like, for example, Monday. Monday, you always know that in the evening, the IFBB Pro League will drop the lineups for the weekend's pro shows. So you don't want to miss that because you may miss something like Jeremy Bundia is competing at the Sasquatch. Nobody knew that until I was announced. So I didn't want to miss that. I kind of knew in advance. So you adjust your time based on what you know is going to happen. So I know, like, in that period, more likely I'm going to be up till like 1 a.m. because we're going to have the athlete announcements. And of course, then the athletes will start sharing content like, yep, I'm doing this show. So I adjust I have to make quite a few adjustments to, especially when it gets close, like Olympia. Olympia, 4 weeks out, you know, a lot of things are happening. So I need to understand that I'm probably going to lose a bit of sleep because the big announcement is going to happen late at night. And like I said, we're already at a disadvantage with a time zone difference in UK and Europe versus America. I know one thing I'm doing this year. This year is a big focus for me to grow my American audience. That's a big one for myself because I'm building a lot of good partnerships with other American brands, but I need to continue to build my American audience. So one thing I'm doing is that every single major American pro show, I'm going to ensure that I report on it as it happens. So if a show is happening at 2 a.m., I'm going to be up at 2 a.m. until the show finishes to make sure that what I do great with like all the other shows in Europe or Asia or wherever, I want to replicate that with these ones. So whether it's a Legion, New York, Pittsburgh, I'll always be up to report on it because they're the biggest shows. But other ones, Texas, Legion, Tampa, Toronto, all these other ones that maybe I didn't do as much as I should have because of a time zone, I'm going to ensure that I give those ones the full reporting that I normally do with other shows, because I know if I do it, I'm going to grow my American audience because I will get the winners. I will get the news out first. One thing, unfortunately, is the promoters have given me access, with free live stream. So I don't need to pay for the live stream. So I'm going to take advantage of that. So that's a big focus for myself as well, to grow into the US audience. And that's another way, it's another hurdle to overcome. But this is the levels I'm trying to operate at to make sure I rapidly grow the platform.
Do you think the partnership with Fouad, with the media, was a good move? Because
100%, 100%.
As someone who watches it, I watch every single episode. This is like the daily routine for me now.
Yeah, Fouad reached out to me about Olympia. He shared me with this idea. A few weeks later, we sat down. We discussed how we can make it work. I'm self-aware enough to know that when I do this, I bring the news, but people are keen to hear about Fouad's opinion because Fouad is a very pivotal voice and figure in bodybuilding. People are tuning in because they want to hear what Fouad has to say. And then what I bring is obviously with stories, but also expand on the question on what the viewers might be thinking. Like, for example, when do you feel, how long do you think it will be until Urs can challenge for Olympia title? That could be something that people are thinking. I play the part of the audience. What are they thinking? I bring the story and then I expand the story, but people are tuning in because they want to hear Fouad's opinion. And sometimes I'll try and challenge it to try and get more out of him, to really get him to expand. But I'm really happy that came out. It's another way for me to expand the platform and doing something with Fouad, who's obviously had a very successful career, not only on stage but also when it comes to the media through his own channel and Bro Chat and all the other interviews he does. It adds more credibility to the BTSTV platform.
Yeah, you guys have a very good dynamic. And I must say, Fouad has an eye for talent, like catching you or athletes to the hostile team in the previous years. So this is definitely one not to miss. And speaking about actually opening another doors to bring attention to more American viewers, you get access to top athletes, and most people can't even speak to or text. How did you build that trust at the start?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me is like I have very good relationships with a lot of pros. There is maybe one pro that I'm not on the good side of because I'm blocked as like a lot of like everybody else is. But everybody else, like with Derek, with Samson, Ryan, Ramon, it's like oh yeah, I could go on. I think they see that I'm not. There are there are other outlets that may try and create some sort of negative debate or shit or maybe pop a negative spotlight. Look, and that's on them. They're doing their thing because they got a certain audience they appeal to. For myself, I try to stay neutral, and I hope people can see that. Obviously, I will push the boat. I will get as close to a line as possible to create, a conversational piece without being disrespectful to the athlete, to the pros. I'm at a point right now where a lot of pros will reach out to me with some news, but it's off the record. Like I'm very close with Hardy's team, so I know what's going on leading into the Arnolds, but I won't be posting about it until they give me the green light. Same with other ones who are talking about shows they've got lined up. They know that they could tell me because they're like, look, I'm going to be announcing something soon, but don't share it yet. They know I'm not going to put something out unless they tell me to, unless it's already out on their public socials on YouTube. So I think they understand that there is a respect there as well on both sides, that I want to support the bodybuilding community. I want to create the excitement and hype, but also it's not just to one division like Open like Classic. It's all divisions. It's even right now with the Fit Model first ever pro show in Japan. I'm supporting it by giving a spotlight to the girls who are competing. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but the reality is it's still bodybuilding. It's still part of the NPC IFBB, and it still deserves to have some awareness from it.
Yeah, I think Fouad will cover the Japan Fit Model Pro because he said
He
on the
will.
line
Oh yeah.
he will travel there. Does it almost feel like responsibility for athlete's image when you have like so much inside info?
Responsibility, not so much really. There's accountability. You got to be accountable for trust. That if someone comes to you and they share some information, you either be that person where you just shit on that relationship and you just use it to your advantage just to get views, or you respect the individual and you're like, look, I appreciate you letting me know. 100%. I will make the announcement when you tell me. So I never kind of thought that the page in just over a year would be in a position where I'm getting all this information coming to me, and you then got to choose. Okay, yeah, can't share this because it's confidential. You can't share this because they've reached out to say, look, this is happening. Please put this out. Nick Walker, for example, making the announcement, the most recent one, that he's now part ownership for Morphogen Nutrition. I came across that a week ago. So I knew that was happening. I knew that deal was coming through. Same with like Samson and My Protein and all the other ones. Is information will come to you, you just be respectful to that individual and only put it out where it needs to be.
How would you deal with that of information overall? I imagine it must be hard to withhold information that you know for certain is true, but cannot speak about it.
To be fair, mate, not really, because there's always so much going on. Don't forget, because I cover all the divisions, there's always other news happening in other divisions. So I know there's a lot of the outlets which may just focus on just men's division only, Open and Classic. So when it's just that, you're only open to news for a couple of divisions. But then when I find out something else about a certain pro, like a certain open bodybuilder, then all of a sudden some news comes out. Oh, Janet is doing Fit Model Pro. Oh, Ryan Terry just said that he wants to break the record. Like other things are always happening, and because I report on all the divisions, I could pull on news from everything else, which, you see the channel, like we post about 9 times a day. I think last year it averaged 17 times a day, because of course on show days you're posting like 20 or 30. God knows how many times I posted Olympia weekend. That must have been about 300 times, to the point I was getting messages on Instagram saying like, is this hacked or something? What's with all not some content? So yeah, just there's always news. There's always news, and I'm fortunate enough that a lot of news does come to me directly. Other times I do search for it, on YouTube. I put on the Arnold Classic, for example. All of the competitors who are competing, I put their notifications on for my Instagram, so I know when they post, it'll come up on my page straight away, so I don't miss it. And then of course I'll always change it. So if there's Detroit Pro, the week of Detroit, I'll change it up. I'll put notifications on for Mo Fuda, for anybody else who's competing at the show, so I don't miss any sort of update. And then obviously turn it off, and I'll do it again. That's a good way to try and make sure that I don't miss any sort of news.
Yeah, I'm very curious what the systems are for managing all the different sources, because I imagine many, like you get probably just hundreds or if not thousands of DMs. How do you go through all these messages, deciding whether it's worth posting or not? And how do you actually create those? Like, what's the behind the scenes?
To be honest, like I'll go through. I'll click on a lot of it. Will just be like amateurs saying, "Can you give me a shout out?" I do tell them as well, like, it's not a shout out page. Sorry, it's like I don't accept any money to say, "Oh, can you shout me out for $50, $100?" It's none of that. There are other pages that you can go and do that. Mine is strictly, bodybuilding news. I gotta keep credible, but just not throw anybody on there. So a lot of the times it's a lot of that. So 9% of the time you can get rid, but be polite and not just explain. Look, sorry, we don't do that type of thing. And then that then reduces the news you're looking at. So you can click on each one, and you decide how relevant it is. Like right now, there's no point in me putting a post about somebody that's prepping for Texas. Like right now, it's what the algorithm wants is what is relevant. What is relevant right now is next week is a Fit Model Pro show in Japan. The week after is the Arnold Classic. The week after is Detroit. 2 weeks later is Arnold Classic UK. That is what's relevant at the moment. Of course, if some big news come out about other guys, certain people do very well on the Instagram algorithm. Nick Walker does very well for myself. Andre Dieu. So they may drop updates and you'll share them. But really, my focus is updates that's relevant to an upcoming show, not something that is months away. If someone tells me, "Oh, could you share this physique update, lead up to Tampa Pro?" I'm like, it's so far away. Like we gotta look at the present.
Yeah, I feel like when other pages, we won't mention the names, that do like shoutouts, paid shoutouts, and they lose credibility because people can clearly see, like, come on, we are not like here to watch some 20-year-old guy who doesn't even look like he lives to post on his physique, but to actually get news. Do you feel like bodybuilding is becoming more entertainment than sport when with the social media rise?
No, I think it's both. I think there has to be an element of entertainment. Look, in the end, every media outlet is going to be different because they've got to look at how can they monetize their platform. I'm starting to see a lot more platforms now use a banner at the bottom with the logos. I know I kind of started that last year with a banner because you can imagine if I get 500 million views and I got Gymshark on the banner, that means Gymshark has been seen 500 million times. So it's a great opportunity for brands to get involved, and that's kind of how I try and monetize it. So in regards to like other outlets, it's each their own. Some prefer to do the shout outs, which rightly so. If they're making good money from it, long may continue. Others may look at the subjects that create drama. Absolutely, if that is your thing, go do it. But for myself is Bible news while also creating the entertainment side. So I always got to think about when I post the content, is this going to get, how I look at it is the post I'm going to do, will it get people to click on the comments and want to read what your comments are saying? Like, because they want to either get behind that guy, or what does that person think? What are people thinking to the question that's being asked in the post? If you do that, then great. Then that's something that drives the engagement, drives the views, works well for the sponsors. But you want to create content that's going to spark a conversational piece or get people behind a certain person, rather than just put a picture and then just leave it like that. You can see the picture on somebody else's page.
How do you think social media impacts bodybuilder mindset on stage? I know there are some guys are fine with it, some are probably blocking other pages. Do you think it plays a big role in how the athletes perceive all the media outlets and the fans as well?
I think social media is arguably one of the most important tools in bodybuilding. I mean, look at this. Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, these guys were competing back when there was no social media. But thanks to social media, they are now reaching a new audience, a younger audience. Jay Cutler's with Young LA. Young LA is a very young brand. Like, they picked Jay Cutler because he knows he wants to reach out to another audience. The audience he had back in his day when he was competing are now grown up. He's looking at, how do I reach another audience? And then social media. I mean, social media will drive your following numbers. And guess what? If that is a case, it just means that more sponsors could be interested in you. Sponsors want to bring in athletes that have high following, that have a high reach, that are being talked about through media outlets. So social media is such an important tool, especially for shows, promoters. They want to get their shows, live streams, pay-per-views. They want them. They want the sales so they can drive, prize money. Because there's only a certain amount you can do in the auditorium, the venue you have. But live stream, you can do as much as you want, and that's when you need social media to drive it, to drive people from international to buy the live stream. So social media is incredibly important. You don't see so much with magazines these days, and I think the only thing with social media is that there really is no guidelines so much that you could just say whatever you want. Sometimes twisting the truth, sometimes dishonest, and then it becomes a fine line. Like, well, what is correct, what is right, and that's when you have so many outlets or so many people with voices that sometimes you hear one thing and it's not the truth. You hear something else from somebody else's side, and that is the truth. So there can be some negativity from social media, but the reality is the positives way outweigh the negatives. Social media is such an important tool for bodybuilding.
Are shows missing out on social media? Because I imagine many people would like to see behind the scenes of what it takes to actually put on a show, and many shows only do live stream. Some shows do not even do the live stream. Do you feel like there's a big gap to actually have people more engaged with the show, not just see the results?
Yeah, I think, like, let's use Detroit Pro for example. The reason why Detroit Pro can be very popular and seen as a people's people's show is because they get behind the person behind the show. So these days, a lot of brands will always put they need to show the face behind the brand, the face behind it that's doing all the work to make things happen. Because if you get behind that individual, then you're going to be supporting the show. So I think a lot of these shows here in worldwide, the promoter could really put themselves out there. Make sure they understand the person behind the show, the person, how hard that individual is working. Create the content of showing this is what we do. 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out, 6 weeks out. You get behind that individual. You get to know that person, how much that person cares about bodybuilding, about promoting, about the show. And you do that, then you start picking shows that you want to compete in based on, I really want to support that individual because he or she is really trying to give as much back to the athletes. I think that's Detroit Pro. The reason why Detroit Pro is so popular is because Fouad's fan base. They do it because we won't get behind Fouad because we know his heart is at the right place and he won't put on the best possible show.
Yeah, I think Detroit is perfect example. It almost feels like we as the fans, we are almost experiencing the putting on the show with Fouad, because all the discussions on Broadchat, even with Paul, Ian, and other guys, when they are talking about the backstage, the backdrop, etc., even the prizes, it all makes us feel part of like a community that puts on the show. So it's really awesome. I want to touch on some other thing about like BTS. I will do a quick fire round if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
I know you're following all of the divisions, but if you were to say what is the one, like the first division that comes to the mind, favorite division of
Men's
Suki's?
Open. Men's Open all day long.
Yeah, no, nothing to add there. This is just it.
All day long, number one.
Yeah. What is one athlete you would bet on for the next 3 years?
So one athlete I would
bet on for the next 3 years.
Oh God, well, I was going to say Ryan Terry, but that's going to be the next 2 years. So once he break his record, I can imagine him stopping 2027. For the next 3 years, I am going to go for next 3 years. I need to give a quick answer. I'm going to say Niall Darwin. I'm going to stick behind Niall.
Yeah, I was actually expecting that. Best physique you've ever seen live?
Best physique I've ever seen live. I will say, you know what? Best physique live. I'll tell you what, no. Ramon Dino, 2025 Olympia. I remember him walking out. I was like, I was front row, and the audience just went absolutely mental. That probably helped as well. Like flashes, everything. And I was like, geez, like it was the Ramon Dino we always wanted to see. Peeled out of his mind. And when he stepped on stage, because I was always like, will he do it? Will he be at his best? Unfortunately, I never got a chance to see Chris Bumstead on stage. So for me, Ramon just for some reason jumped out because I just remember that moment he stepped on stage for the first time, Olympia 2025, and how loud the audience got. It was just mental.
Do you think we'll see a Ramon era, or is there a time that like in the Open that
Classic Physique is way too close to call? Yeah, but I can't see anyone creating an era like Chris Bumstead. I think the division is far too close. There's far too many contenders that could actually win the title. More contenders than any other division can actually win the classic title. That's how close it is. That's why it's so difficult to create a dynasty, an era for yourself, because it's so close.
Do you think if Chris appeared only this year, would he win, or is the criteria
if he competed this year?
Yeah, let's say he didn't exist and he just first competed this year as a pro.
If Chris Bumstead competed this year?
Yeah. No, if he started competing this year with his physique that's Olympia winning.
If he which year physique? The first Olympia.
Let's go with 23.
23.
Let's say.
Win. Yeah, won. Yeah, he wins Olympia. He wins Olympia with 2023 physique. He wins Olympia with 22, 23, 24. Yeah, he wins classic physique. No one. The last 3 years, Chris Bumstead won Olympia. Nobody's touching him.
Yeah, we were talking with Sammy last week, and I kind of agree with him that Chris' side chest is probably the best side chest of all of the bodybuilding, like in the bodybuilding history. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, side chest is absolutely wild. For the back, it's difficult to beat him. That condition, especially on his legs. Look, if 24, I remember I had a debate with Fouad a while back. We were saying like 25 Dina versus 24 Chris Bumstead, who would win? It's Chris Bumstead all day long. I still believe that with 23 physique or 22 physique. So yeah, it would have been. The guys wouldn't have beaten Chris yet.
Yeah. If you were to put one message that would be on a billboard at every gym in the world, what would it say?
One message that would be in every bodybuilding gym?
Yes.
My message would be... oh, God, you're probably a spot right there, man. You're probably in a right spot. be relentless. Be relentless 24/7. And the reason why I say that is like I have been relentless with Beyond Stage since I started. And thing is, you can't be relentless for a certain time of the day or 4 days a week, 5 days a week. It is literally non-stop because obviously I've got the goal in mind of where I want it to be. I kind of wish I started Beyond Stage earlier. I wish I started it while Chris Bumstead was competing and maybe his second Olympia or third Olympia, but I didn't. And you then think, oh my God, when will be the next superstar that has that big of a following? I wish I was doing it at that period, but it's just relentless 24/7 for something that you believe in. I believe in Beyond the Stage of how big it can go, and I will continue to work day in day out to make sure that I get the platform exactly where I want it to be. And that's why it's opened doors for me to partner with Olympia, to partner with the Arnolds, to partner with Gymshark, to partner with the Shrew Classic in India, where I'll be in Delhi and Mumbai, the Dubai Muscle Show. All these partnerships have all come up because of that relentlessness, just to go all out every day and make sure that Beyond the Stage, when anybody goes on their Instagram, you may have not been there for a few hours, you go on your Instagram page and the first thing you see in your feed is some news from BTS TV, is to make sure that we're always at the top.
If I'm being honest, you can hear the relentlessness in every sentence you say. So, like, this was really inspiring for me to listen. Like, obviously, listen live, and I know it will be for many listeners. I hope we provided some actual background to how the page works. I was very nervous before I talked, so I also hope it didn't seem like that. But thank you very much for your time, man.
No, I appreciate it. I also appreciate you coming to the event as well that we had in Derby. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you found it inspiring. I'd love to hear. Do you have any feedback on the event?
To be fair, like, I flew from Poland with my girlfriend and a friend just for the event, and obviously to check out the gyms. It was really awesome. Like, probably the best event of that kind that I was attended to, because it didn't feel like an expo where every like brand wants to just sell you their stuff. There are like booths everywhere. This was an event about people. This was a chance to actually network, to meet the guys you follow on Instagram. I know like you guys are UK based, so it's like you can see like IFBB pros every day. For us, it's different, and the chance to hang out with guys like Finn or Matt that I had on a podcast. Actually, shout out to Finn and Reese. I'm wearing the hoodie.
I saw it, Physique Club. Yeah, I saw it.
So this was just a really awesome experience. Obviously, the seminars were very good, like the one that Kuba did, Cal, AJ. We didn't get to have the Sami seminar, but the podcast with him came out week before as you're listening to this, so definitely check it out. And yeah, just overall the atmosphere and the chance to meet people, because there were a lot of people, but not so many that you feel like overcrowded,
What's the because I always take on constructive feedback on how to make the event better for 2027. That's always a big focus for myself. Well, what one feedback would you think could make the event better for 2027?
Yeah, one small map where the conference room was. That would be the main thing. Like a small, just say room B is upstairs, room A is there. That would be very helpful. I think that's pretty much it. Like, that would be the first thing that comes into my mind. Or maybe the seminar should be longer, because and most of the seminars that are actually like people want to attend were at the same time. Yeah. So I would divide, because it was hard. Like, you can see, I want to go there, but at the same time there's the posing demo. Here's AJ. Yeah. I would look into that, because and identify the groups, because a person who would like to attend AJ seminar that's into bodybuilding, he would like to watch the demo on stage, and they were at the same time. So identify what interests a group, and let's say have like bikini stuff at one time, then maybe like a posing demo, because other people would see it at the same time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree in regards to having a map. Timings, in regards to some of the seminars conflict with other ones. We've had that feedback from quite a few people as well, because I always knew it was going to be so difficult to try and get the timings for, like, AJ, are you happy with this time slot? QB, happy with this time slot? And I think next year we want to make sure that, how do we ensure that if somebody wants to attend one seminar, is there a chance they may also want to attend this one? do we need to split it, and how do we split it? How do we ensure that everybody can try and get to as many of the seminars they want to attend as possible? So that's something we're definitely going to look at for 2027.
I know there were some issues with the parking, etc., because of the game, but that's not really in your control, is it?
I remember like when we got that venue, I always straight away looked at the date. Okay, is there a Derby County home match on that day? No, there wasn't. And then about 2 months before the event, they changed the date. Derby County at home to Ipswich Town. Ipswich, like near top of the league, is a sellout. 33,000 people. I was like, oh my God. I was like, because if there was no Derby County game, all the parking would have been on site. But we're gonna I need to make sure that we don't have a Derby County home game on that date.
Yeah. Perfect.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I think.
So that was
I really appreciate the time. I also appreciate you making that trip all the way from Poland. That's it's fantastic to see how international the event was. To have people like yourself come over and support the event. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we were talking about how the UK bodybuilding culture impacts all the countries in Europe, and it really does have a big impact. And we are looking forward to this event next year. Like, if you just only set up the date, I will book a flight. So I know I have to be there next year.
I am looking at doing something in the summer of 2026. However, it's not an in-person one. It's going to be online. So I'm going to create a weekend. I'm looking to create a Beyond the Stage online webinar event, which is going to be Saturday to Sunday. And it's going to have guest speakers talking about different subjects from all over the world. People like, obviously I've got a relationship with Gymshark. I'm hoping I can get Chris Bumstead and then other people from different divisions, because if it's an online event, it means the speaker doesn't need to travel. They can just do the webinar from home. So I'm looking to try and create an event with guest speakers from all over the world, and people could just join the webinar from home and watch whatever subject, whatever seminar they want to. So that's my plan for summer, is to create a online Beyond the Stage webinar event with maybe 20 different seminars, 20 different guest speakers, and you guys can tune in whenever you want to watch each one.
Yeah, actually, one more thing. I know many people were talking about it, that the event was not like really marketed, and some people had no idea that it was actually happening. So maybe with future events, I don't know, like different colors or pin posts, like something different, because many people probably would like to attend, but they missed out on this because we were still putting like many posts a day. So I'm not sure I'm not the strategist, but just to give feedback.
I think one thing as well, yeah, no, you're right there. With the 2027 event, the likelihood is that once the football fixtures come out in June, I will confirm the date in July. And we're going to look to try and promote the event way in advance. The difficulty has always been that doing, because we're trying to work with dates with like Samson, what date are you free, or Ryan, and a lot of these guys, like, we can't confirm a date until maybe 2 months out from the actual event. So we're going to look to try and find out. We're going to look to improve how to promote the event. Can we work alongside other NPC or IFBB event pages like IFBB Poland, IFBB Spain, to ensure that the people that follow that page also know about the event, in case we do have more international attendees. So yeah, there's a lot to work on, a lot to improve for next year. I'm very happy to hear that, like, the Becky Clausen, who was the Olympia judge, said it was world class. It was one of the best seminars she's ever been to, and to hear you say that as well, and other people, is fantastic to hear. But equally, what's important is the feedback. How can we improve it? Take all the feedback on, and at least that way we can make the next event even better, because we learned from the first one.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, people don't really remember like exactly who the speaker was, etc. They remember how they felt, and I know, like, man, I felt so good walking around there. It could go on for hours, and I would still be there. That was probably like the best thing that they can experience as a bodybuilding fan.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Right, that was Suki from BTS, everybody.